In a world where fairy tales are often dismissed as childhood fantasies, one love story has captured hearts across the globe and proven that sometimes dreams do come true. Behind the grand palaces, royal protocols, and glittering tiaras lies a romance so genuine and tender that it has redefined what it means to be royal in the modern age. This is not just the story of a prince and his princess, but of two ordinary young people who found extraordinary love in the most unlikely circumstances. From stolen glances across a university classroom to secret romantic getaways, from heartbreaking temporary separations to the most watched wedding of the century, Prince William and Catherine's journey has been filled with moments so sweet, so authentic, and so deeply human that they remind us all of the power of true love. Their story proves that even in the fishbowl of royal life, genuine affection, playful banter, and quiet, intimate moments can flourish. What makes their love story truly captivating is not the crown jewels or the royal titles, but the small, tender gestures that speak volumes about their deep connection. The way William's eyes light up when Kate enters a room, how she gently touches his arm during difficult moments, their shared laughter at private jokes, and the protective way they shield their children from the spotlight while still sharing precious family moments with the world. This is the untold story of their sweetest moments, the ones that happen away from the cameras, the spontaneous displays of affection that break royal protocol, and the quiet instances of support that have carried them through 2 decades together. These are the moments that transformed a college romance into one of the most beloved royal partnerships in history, proving that at the heart of every great love story are countless small, beautiful moments that create an unbreakable bond. The autumn leaves crunched beneath the feet of students hurrying across the cobblestone paths of St. Andrews University in Scotland. Among them walked a tall, blond young man who was trying desperately to blend in with his fellow students, despite the discreet security detail that followed at a respectful distance. Prince William Arthur Philip Lewis of Wales had chosen this prestigious Scottish university partly because of its academic reputation, but mostly because it promised him something he had never truly experienced, a chance at normalcy. William had arrived at St. Andrews in September 2001 with hopes of studying art history, though he would later switch to geography. The weight of his future responsibilities as second in line to the throne seemed impossibly heavy for someone who had just turned 19. He was still processing the traumatic loss of his mother, Princess Diana, just 4 years earlier, and university represented not just education, but healing and the possibility of discovering who he might be outside of his royal identity. The first few weeks were challenging. Fellow students either avoided him entirely, too intimidated by his status, or approached him with obvious ulterior motives. William found himself longing for genuine connection, for someone who might see past the titles and the inevitable destiny that awaited him. He spent many evenings walking alone around the historic town, wondering if he had made the right choice in coming to university at all. Everything changed on a crisp October morning during an art history lecture. William had taken his usual seat in the back row, hoping to remain inconspicuous, when a young woman with flowing dark hair and warm brown eyes walked into the lecture hall. She moved with an easy confidence, chatting quietly with friends as she found a seat several rows ahead of him. There was something immediately captivating about her natural grace and the genuine warmth of her smile as she greeted those around her. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton, known to everyone as Kate, had grown up in a loving middle-class family in Berkshire. Her parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, had built a successful party planning business from the ground up, instilling in their eldest daughter values of hard work, humility, and kindness. Kate had chosen St. Andrews for its excellent reputation in art history, her true passion, and had arrived excited about the academic challenges ahead. Unlike many of her fellow students, Kate was genuinely unaware of Prince William's presence in her lecture hall those first few weeks. She was focused on her studies, making new friends, and adjusting to university life. When she finally learned that the second in line to the throne was in her art history class, her reaction was notably different from most. Rather than being starstruck or overwhelmed, she simply shrugged and continued taking notes, treating him no differently than any other classmate. This nonchalant attitude was exactly what William had been hoping to find. During group discussions, Kate would engage naturally with everyone, including William, asking thoughtful questions about the material and offering insightful observations about the artworks they studied. She never sought special attention or tried to impress him with knowledge of royal protocols or current events. Instead, she challenged his interpretations of Renaissance paintings with the same academic rigor she applied to everyone else's contributions. Their first real conversation happened quite by accident. William had been struggling with a particularly complex assignment about Italian Baroque architecture when he noticed Kate gathering her materials after class. Summoning courage he didn't know he possessed, he approached her and nervously asked if she might be willing to study together. Kate looked up from her notes, considered his request for a moment, and then smiled that warm, genuine smile that would become so familiar to him. They agreed to meet at the university library the following afternoon. William arrived early, unusually nervous for someone who had been attending state dinners since childhood. When Kate arrived, carrying an impressive stack of research books and wearing a simple cardigan and jeans, she looked every bit the serious student she was. They found a quiet corner table and spread out their materials. What followed was 3 hours of the most natural, comfortable conversation William had experienced in years. Kate's passion for art history was infectious as she explained the historical context of various architectural movements. She had a way of making complex concepts accessible, often sketching quick diagrams to illustrate her points. William found himself completely absorbed, not just in the subject matter, but in watching Kate's animated expressions as she spoke about something she clearly loved. When their stomachs began rumbling around dinner time, William suggested they continue their study session over a meal at a nearby pub. Kate agreed readily, and they packed up their books and walked through the winding streets of St. Andrews together. The October air was crisp, and fallen leaves swirled around their feet as they talked about everything from their favorite artists to their experiences starting university. At the pub, over fish and chips and warm ale, their conversation moved beyond academics. Kate shared stories about growing up in Bucklebury, her love of photography, and her close relationship with her younger siblings, Pippa and James. William, gradually relaxing in her easy presence, found himself opening up about his own experiences, his love of wildlife conservation, and even some of the challenges of growing up in the public eye, though he was careful not to overwhelm her with the full weight of his circumstances. What struck William most about Kate during that first extended conversation was her ability to listen. Really listen. She asked thoughtful follow-up questions, remembered details from earlier in their conversation, and showed genuine interest in his thoughts and opinions. When he mentioned missing his mother during difficult moments at university, Kate's expression softened with understanding rather than the pity or awkward discomfort he usually encountered when Diana was mentioned. As the evening drew to a close, they walked slowly back toward their respective dormitories. The conversation had flowed so naturally that neither wanted it to end. When they reached the point where their paths diverged, they stood for a moment in comfortable silence, both seeming to realize that something significant had shifted between them during those few hours. Kate was the first to speak, suggesting they should study together again soon, perhaps for their upcoming exam on medieval art. William agreed, perhaps a bit too eagerly, causing Kate to laugh at his obvious enthusiasm. That laugh, bright and unself-conscious, would echo in William's mind for days to come. Over the following weeks, their study sessions became a regular occurrence. They would meet in different locations around campus and the town, sometimes in a library, sometimes in cozy cafes, and occasionally on the beach when the weather permitted. These meetings gradually evolved from purely academic exercises into something that felt remarkably like dating, though neither of them acknowledged it as such at first. Kate treated William with a refreshing normalcy that he had never experienced with peers his own age. She would playfully tease him when he made particularly obvious mistakes in his reasoning about art historical movements, and she never hesitated to disagree with him when their interpretations differed. This intellectual equality and the respect it demonstrated meant more to William than Kate could have possibly understood at the time. Their fellow students began to notice the developing friendship, but Kate's natural discretion and William's careful approach to relationships meant that campus gossip remained minimal. Kate never bragged about her growing friendship with the prince, never sought attention because of it, and continued to maintain all of her other friendships and activities exactly as she had before. The first hint that their relationship might be evolving beyond friendship came during a particularly stressful period before final exams. William had been struggling with the pressure of his coursework, combined with ongoing media attention about his university experience. Kate found him one afternoon sitting alone on a bench outside the library, looking overwhelmed and exhausted. Without saying anything, she sat down beside him and simply waited. When William finally looked up and saw her patient, understanding expression, he felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Kate didn't offer advice or try to minimize his stress. Instead, she suggested they take a break from studying and walk down to the harbor to watch the sunset. They spent an hour sitting on the stone walls overlooking the North Sea, talking quietly about the pressures they both felt as the academic year drew to a close. William found himself sharing fears and insecurities he had never voiced to anyone, while Kate listened with the same focused attention she brought to everything else. As the sky turned brilliant shades of orange and pink, Kate reached over and briefly touched William's hand, a simple gesture of comfort and support. That moment of quiet connection on the harbor wall would later be remembered by both of them as the point when they realized their feelings for each other had deepened beyond friendship. The touch of Kate's hand, warm and reassuring, and the way she looked at him with complete acceptance and understanding made William's heart race in a way that had nothing to do with royal protocols or public expectations. As their first year at St. Andrews drew to a close, both William and Kate knew that something beautiful and significant had begun between them. The summer break would test the foundation they had built during those months of study sessions, long conversations, and quiet moments of growing intimacy. Neither could have predicted that this university friendship, born from shared academic interests and nurtured through countless hours of genuine connection, would eventually grow into one of the most celebrated love stories of their generation. The sweetness of those early days lay not in grand romantic gestures or expensive gifts, but in the simple pleasure of two young people discovering each other's minds and hearts. Kate's natural warmth and William's growing confidence in her presence created a safe space where both could be authentically themselves, laying the groundwork for a love that would weather the storms and scrutiny that lay ahead. The summer of 2002 stretched endlessly before Kate as she returned to her family home in Bucklebury. The months at St. Andrews had changed her in ways she was only beginning to understand. Her friendship with William had evolved into something deeper and more complex, though neither had explicitly acknowledged the romantic feelings that had been building throughout their first year of university. Kate threw herself into a summer job at a clothing retailer, trying to keep busy while missing the intellectual stimulation and easy camaraderie she had found at university. Her parents, Carol and Michael, noticed a new thoughtfulness in their eldest daughter. She would often be found staring out the garden window with a distant expression or checking her phone more frequently than usual. When they gently inquired about her first-year experiences, Kate spoke warmly about her friends and classes, mentioning William only as one of several study partners. Meanwhile, William was spending his summer between royal duties and time at Balmoral Castle with his father and brother Harry. The traditional royal summer retreat in Scotland felt different this year. Where once William had found peace in the isolation and natural beauty of the Highlands, he now found himself thinking constantly about a particular pair of warm brown eyes and the sound of genuine laughter. He caught himself composing text messages to Kate that he would then unsure of the appropriate boundaries for their friendship outside the university setting. Prince Charles noticed his eldest son's distraction during their regular countryside walks. William seemed more introspective than usual, often lost in thought as they discussed his upcoming second-year coursework and future royal responsibilities. When Charles carefully broached the subject of William's social life at university, the young prince's face lit up briefly before he caught himself, mentioning that he had made some good friends but remaining deliberately vague about details. The return to St. Andrews in September brought with it an electricity that both William and Kate felt immediately. Their reunion was carefully casual, meeting as part of a larger group of friends at a welcome-back gathering, but the underlying current of attraction and misconnection was impossible to ignore. Kate had spent the summer gaining confidence in herself and her feelings, while William had used the months away to reflect on what Kate's friendship meant to him and whether he was prepared to risk complicating it with romantic feelings. Their second year brought new living arrangements that would prove pivotal to their developing relationship. William, along with Kate and two mutual friends, decided to share a flat in the town center. The prospect of daily domestic life together was both thrilling and terrifying for William, who had never lived in such close quarters with someone for whom he harbored romantic feelings. The flat on Hope Street was modest by royal standards, but felt like a palace of freedom to William. For the first time in his life, he could wake up and have breakfast with friends without the formality of staff or the weight of protocol. Kate naturally took on many of the domestic responsibilities, not because anyone expected it of her, but because she enjoyed creating a warm, welcoming environment for their small group. William would often find himself mesmerized by the simple domesticity of watching Kate prepare meals or tidy up after their study sessions. There is something profoundly moving about seeing someone care for their shared space with such natural grace and attention to detail. Kate had a way of making even the most mundane tasks seem effortless and somehow beautiful. Their morning routines developed into a comfortable rhythm. Kate was an early riser who enjoyed having a quiet cup of tea while reading before the day began. William, initially not much of a morning person, found himself waking earlier and earlier, drawn to those peaceful moments when he could sit with Kate in companionable silence, watching the Scottish countryside wake up outside their windows. During these quiet morning conversations, their friendship deepened into something more intimate. They would discuss everything from their dreams and fears to philosophical questions about duty, purpose, and happiness. William found himself sharing thoughts and concerns he had never voiced to anyone, while Kate offered perspectives that challenged and comforted him in equal measure. The first clear indication that their relationship was shifting occurred during a particularly memorable evening in October. Their flatmates had gone home for a long weekend, leaving William and Kate alone in the apartment for the first time. They had planned to use the quiet time for studying, but found themselves cooking dinner together instead, working in the small kitchen with an easy coordination that spoke to their growing comfort with each other. Kate was preparing vegetables, while William attempted to master what he claimed was his specialty pasta dish. Those cooking skills were admittedly limited. When Kate gently corrected his technique for preparing the sauce, showing him the proper way to sauté garlic, their hands briefly touched as she guided his movements. The simple contact sent an electric shock through both of them, and they found themselves standing very close, the forgotten meal growing cold on the stove. For a moment that felt like an eternity, they simply looked at each other, both recognizing that they had reached a turning point. William's heart was racing as he realized that Kate was looking at him with an expression he had hoped to see, but hadn't dared expect. Without saying anything, he reached up to gently touch her face, giving her every opportunity to step away. Instead, Kate leaned into his touch, her eyes never leaving his. Their first kiss was soft and tentative, both of them aware that this moment would change everything between them. When they finally broke apart, Kate smiled that radiant smile that William had fallen in love with, and whispered that she had been hoping this would happen for months. They spent the rest of the evening talking until the early hours of morning, finally acknowledging the feelings that had been building between them and discussing what this development might mean. William was honest about the complications that would come with dating him, the media attention, and public scrutiny that would inevitably follow. Kate listened thoughtfully, asking practical questions about what to expect and expressing her commitment to understanding his world while maintaining her own identity and goals. What emerged from that conversation was a decision to keep their romantic relationship private while they figured out how to navigate this new dynamic. They agreed that their studies would remain the priority and that they would take things slowly, allowing their relationship to develop naturally without external pressures. The following weeks were filled with the sweet secrecy of new love. They would steal quiet moments together between classes, finding secluded spots around campus where they could talk and simply enjoy each other's company away from curious eyes. William discovered that Kate had an adventurous spirit that matched his own love of the outdoors. They would take long walks along the coastal paths, sometimes talking animatedly about their classes or future plans, other times walking in comfortable silence, simply enjoying the beauty of the Scottish landscape and each other's presence. Kate's natural photography skills meant she was often carrying a camera, and she began taking candid photos of William during these walks. At first, he was self-conscious about being photographed, but Kate's artistic eye and her ability to capture genuine moments rather than pose portraits gradually put him at ease. She would show him how she saw light and composition, teaching him to notice details in their environment that he had previously overlooked. These photography sessions became some of their most cherished shared experiences. Kate would position William against dramatic backdrops of ancient stone buildings or windswept coastlines, coaxing genuine smiles and relaxed expressions that revealed the young man behind the royal persona. The photos she took during this period captured a carefree happiness that would become increasingly rare as their relationship became public knowledge. Winter brought its own intimate pleasures to their relationship. The Scottish weather could be brutal, with fierce winds and driving rain that made outdoor activities less appealing. Instead, William and Kate discovered the joy of cozy evenings in their flat, studying by the fireplace or cooking elaborate meals together as a way to pass the long, dark evenings. Kate introduced William to some of her family traditions, like elaborate Christmas baking sessions that filled their flat with a sense of cinnamon and vanilla. William had never experienced the simple pleasure of decorating cookies or the easy laughter that came with flower fights and stolen tastes of icing. These domestic moments felt revolutionary to someone who had grown up with professional staff handling all meal preparation and holiday traditions. During the Christmas break, their separation was more difficult than either had anticipated. They had grown accustomed to daily contact and the comfort of each other's presence. They spoke by phone regularly, but both found themselves counting the days until they could return to St. Andrews and their shared routines. Kate spent the holidays with her extended family, trying to focus on the familiar traditions and celebrations while privately treasuring the secret of her new relationship. When well-meaning relatives asked about her social life at university, she deflected with vague mentions of new friendships and interesting classes, not yet ready to share the magnitude of what was happening in her personal life. William's Christmas was spent at Sandringham with the royal family, participating in the traditional celebrations that had marked his holidays since childhood. But this year felt different. He found himself wondering what Kate was doing, whether she was enjoying time with her family, and how different these formal royal traditions might seem to someone from her background. The new year brought them back together with a deeper appreciation for what they meant to each other. The weeks apart had clarified for both of them that their relationship had become central to their happiness and sense of well-being. They returned to university with a new commitment to making their relationship work despite the unique challenges it presented. Spring semester brought warmer weather and more opportunities for outdoor adventures together. William and Kate would often escape campus for long cycling trips through the Scottish countryside, discovering hidden villages and stopping at local pubs for lunch. Kate's natural athleticism and Love of physical activity made her an ideal companion for William's active lifestyle. She could keep up with his pace during long hikes and shared his appreciation for the physical and mental clarity that came from time spent in nature. During one particularly memorable weekend trip to a remote coastal village, they stayed at a small bed and breakfast and spent 2 days exploring tide pools and walking along deserted beaches. The complete privacy and lack of any schedule or obligations allowed them to simply enjoy being together without the underlying awareness of William's public role that was always present on campus. It was during this weekend that Kate first truly understood the weight of expectation and scrutiny that would come with loving William. A local photographer happened to recognize the prince during their walk and began taking long-distance photos of the couple. While the images never appeared in any publication, the incident reminded both of them that their privacy was always fragile and that their relationship would eventually become public knowledge. Rather than being deterred by this reminder of future complications, Kate surprised William with her practical approach to the situation. She had clearly thought seriously about what being with him would mean and had decided that their connection was worth whatever challenges lay ahead. Her calm acceptance and determination to face difficulties together rather than being overwhelmed by them convinced William that Kate might be the partner who could handle the unique demands of royal life while maintaining her own strength and identity. The inevitable moment when their relationship would become public knowledge arrived sooner than either William or Kate had hoped. It was during their third year at St. Andrews in the spring of 2004 when a tabloid photographer with a long-range lens captured images of them on a ski vacation in Switzerland with friends. The photographs, while not explicitly romantic, showed an unmistakable intimacy in their body language and the way they looked at each other. When the images appeared on front pages across Britain with headlines proclaiming Wills and Kate, the royal romance, both their lives changed overnight. Kate woke up to find photographers camped outside her family home in Bucklebury and reporters calling her parents asking for comments about their daughter's relationship with the future king. The sudden invasion of privacy was jarring and overwhelming for a young woman who had carefully maintained her anonymity throughout 2.5 years of dating William. William was furious about the breach of their privacy and immediately contacted his father's office to explore legal options for protecting Kate from harassment. But he also knew that this moment had been inevitable, and part of him was relieved that they no longer had to hide their relationship. However, he was deeply concerned about Kate's ability to handle the intensity of media attention that would now become a constant presence in her life. The first few weeks of public scrutiny were particularly difficult for Kate. She discovered that every aspect of her background, from her parents' business success to her own academic achievements, would be analyzed and critiqued in the press. Commentary ranged from fascination with her middle-class background to speculation about whether she was suitable for a future king. The scrutiny was unlike anything she had experienced, and there were moments when she wondered if she was strong enough to handle what loving William would require. Kate's family rallied around her during this challenging period. Her parents, Michael and Carol, while initially shocked by the sudden media attention, quickly proved themselves capable of handling the pressure with dignity and discretion. They refused all interview requests, hired security for their home, and provided Kate with the emotional support she needed to navigate this new reality. Her siblings, Pippa and James, also demonstrated remarkable maturity in dealing with their own sudden thrust into public awareness. William was struck by how Kate's family handled the media storm. Their unity, discretion, and protective instincts toward Kate showed him qualities he valued deeply and gave him confidence that Kate came from people who would understand the importance of privacy and loyalty that royal life demanded. The Middleton family's response to sudden fame was notably different from other high-profile relationships William had witnessed, where family members sometimes sought to capitalize on their connection to royalty. On campus, their dynamic as a couple changed significantly once their relationship was public. Fellow students who had previously treated them both normally now watched their interactions with obvious curiosity. Some friends became more deferential, while others seemed to distance themselves, unsure of how to navigate the new social dynamics. Kate handled these changes with remarkable grace, continuing to maintain her friendships and academic focus despite the added pressure. What touched William most during this period was Kate's determination not to let media attention affect their relationship's fundamental dynamics. She continued to challenge him intellectually, tease him when he was being too serious, and maintain the equality that had characterized their partnership from the beginning. When photographers followed them around campus, Kate would simply take William's hand and keep walking, refusing to be intimidated or to change their natural behavior. Their final year at university became a careful balance between completing their degrees and learning to function as a public couple. They developed strategies for maintaining some privacy, like varying their routes around campus and spending more time at friends' homes rather than their own flat. Kate became skilled at spotting photographers and developed an instinct for when they were being watched, but she never allowed this awareness to make her paranoid or withdrawn. Graduation day in June 2005 was bittersweet for both William and Kate. They had successfully completed their degrees while nurturing a relationship under increasingly intense scrutiny. The ceremony represented not just academic achievement, but proof that they could handle external pressures while supporting each other's individual goals and aspirations. As they posed for official graduation photos with their families, the contrast between their backgrounds was visible but not uncomfortable. Prince Charles and his entourage represented centuries of royal tradition, while the Middleton family embodied successful, contemporary British middle-class values. The ease with which both families interacted suggested a compatibility that boded well for the future. However, graduation also marked the beginning of a new set of challenges for their relationship. William was expected to begin his military training and take on increasing royal duties, while Kate faced the prospect of finding her own career path while being constantly defined in relation to her relationship with the prince. The structured environment of university life had provided a protective bubble that was about to disappear. The summer after graduation tested their relationship in new ways. William began his officer training at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, a demanding program that required complete focus and offered little free time for personal relationships. The physical and mental challenges of military training, combined with the pressure of proving himself without special treatment because of his royal status, left William exhausted and stressed during their brief meetings. Kate, meanwhile, was trying to establish her own identity and career while living under constant media scrutiny. Every job interview, every social outing, every shopping trip was potentially front-page news. She took a position with a fashion company, but found it difficult to perform normal work duties when photographers followed her to and from the office daily. The question of what role she should play in William's life and what her own future might look like became increasingly complex. During this period, their relationship experienced its first serious strain. The combination of William's military commitments, Kate's struggle to find her place in the world, and the relentless media attention created tensions that hadn't existed during their university years. They had less time together, and when they did meet, both were often stressed and exhausted from their individual challenges. Kate began to feel isolated and uncertain about her future. While she remained committed to William, she also started to question whether she was prepared for a lifetime of the intense scrutiny and loss of privacy that being with him would require. Friends noticed that she seemed less confident and more withdrawn than the vibrant, assured young woman she had been at university. William was struggling with his own doubts about whether it was fair to ask someone he loved to sacrifice so much of their personal freedom and autonomy for a relationship with him. He witnessed firsthand how difficult Kate's life had become since their relationship became public, and he wrestled with guilt about the dramatic changes she had experienced because of him. Their relationship reached a crisis point in early 2007. Both William and Kate were feeling the accumulated pressure of nearly 3 years of intense public scrutiny combined with the uncertainty about their future together. William was particularly concerned about Kate's happiness and whether she would be able to find fulfillment in a life that would always be constrained by royal protocol and public expectations. The decision to take a break from their relationship was mutual but heartbreaking for both of them. They needed space to reflect on what they wanted individually and whether they could build a sustainable future together given the unique challenges they faced. The temporary separation was kept private initially, allowing both of them to process their feelings without additional media speculation. During their time apart, which lasted several months, both William and Kate gained valuable perspective on their relationship and their individual strength. William threw himself into his military duties and royal obligations, while Kate focused on finding her own path and rebuilding her confidence in her ability to handle the pressures of public life. Kate's response to their separation revealed the depth of her character and resilience. Rather than withdrawing from public life entirely, she used the time to strengthen her friendships, pursue interests she had neglected, and develop a clearer sense of her own identity outside of her relationship with William. She traveled with friends, took up new hobbies, and gradually regained the confidence and independence that had attracted William in the first place. William, meanwhile, realized during their separation how much Kate's presence in his life meant to him. Her ability to ground him, challenge him, and provide emotional support had become essential to his well-being and his ability to face his royal responsibilities with confidence. He began to understand that Kate wasn't just someone he loved, but someone who made him a better person and a more effective future king. The process of reconciliation began slowly, with carefully casual meetings at social events where they could interact naturally without pressure. Friends noticed the obvious chemistry that still existed between them, and the way their faces would light up when they unexpectedly encountered each other. The separation had clarified for both of them that their love was worth fighting for, but it had also taught them important lessons about maintaining their individual identities within their relationship. Their reunion was as private as their separation had been. William reached out to Kate with a simple phone call, asking if they could talk. They met at a quiet restaurant outside London, both nervous but determined to be honest about their feelings and their concerns about the future. The conversation lasted for hours, covering everything from their experiences during the separation to their hopes and fears about getting back together. What emerged from that reunion was a stronger, more mature relationship built on a clearer understanding of what they both needed to be happy individually and together. Kate had demonstrated her resilience and independence during their time apart, while William had gained clarity about his commitment to protecting and supporting her while respecting her autonomy. The months following their reconciliation were characterized by a new intentionality in their relationship. They were more deliberate about carving out private time together, more protective of their relationship's boundaries, and more unified in their approach to handling external pressures. The experience of nearly losing each other had strengthened their bond, and their resolve to build a partnership that could withstand the unique challenges of royal life. Kate's growth during this period was particularly remarkable. She emerged from the separation with a stronger sense of self and a clearer understanding of her own strength. The young woman who had once been overwhelmed by media attention now handled it with composure and grace. She had learned to maintain her privacy while accepting public interest, to support William while pursuing her own interests, and to navigate royal expectations while staying true to her own values. This period of their relationship demonstrated that their love could survive serious challenges, and that both were committed to growing individually while building something beautiful together. The sweetness of their reconciliation lay not just in their reunion, but in the maturity and intentionality they brought to their renewed commitment to each other. The years following their reconciliation saw William and Kate's relationship mature into a partnership of remarkable depth and stability. By 2010, They had been together for nearly 9 years, weathering public scrutiny, temporary separation, and the constant pressure of being one of the world's most watched couples. Their love had evolved from the sweet uncertainty of university romance into something solid, tested, and enduring. William had completed his military training and was serving as a search and rescue pilot with the Royal Air Force in Wales, a role that brought him immense personal satisfaction and a sense of purpose beyond his royal duties. The work was demanding and meaningful, involving real-life rescue missions that required skill, courage, and split-second decision-making. Kate supported his career choice completely, understanding that this service allowed William to contribute to society in a direct, practical way that gave his life additional meaning. Kate, meanwhile, had found her own professional path, working with her family's party planning business and developing her skills in event coordination and photography. The work suited her attention to detail, creative sensibilities, and natural ability to make people feel comfortable and welcome. While the media continued to speculate about when William might propose, Kate focused on building her own competencies and maintaining the independence that was so important to both of them. Their relationship during this period was characterized by a comfortable domesticity that both treasured. When William was on leave from his RAF duties, he would often stay with Kate at her family home in Bucklebury, where they could enjoy a semblance of normal life. The Middleton family had fully embraced William, treating him with warmth and affection while maintaining the casual informality that had always characterized their household. William loved the relaxed atmosphere of the Middleton home, where he could help with everyday tasks like cooking dinner or playing with the family dogs without any of the formal protocols that governed royal residences. Kate's parents, Michael and Carol, had mastered the art of treating him as simply their daughter's boyfriend while remaining respectful of his position. This balance allowed William to experience the kind of family life he had always craved. During quiet weekends in Berkshire, William and Kate developed routines that spoke to the deep contentment they found in each other's company. They would take long walks through the countryside with Kate's family dogs, stopping at local pubs for lunch and chatting with neighbors who had grown accustomed to their presence. These ordinary moments felt extraordinary to William, who had never experienced such normalcy in a romantic relationship. Kate's influence on William was becoming increasingly apparent to those who knew him well. She had helped him develop greater confidence in his public speaking, encouraged his environmental interests, and supported his desire to modernize certain aspects of royal protocol. Her practical wisdom and emotional intelligence complemented his natural leadership abilities, creating a partnership that seemed ideally suited for the responsibilities they would eventually share. As 2010 progressed, speculation about a potential engagement reached fever pitch. Every public appearance was analyzed for signs of an impending proposal, and Kate's choice of jewelry was scrutinized for any hint of an engagement ring. The constant speculation created additional pressure, but both William and Kate had learned to tune out external expectations and focus on their own timeline and readiness. William had been planning his proposal for months, waiting for the perfect moment and opportunity. He wanted the proposal to be deeply personal and meaningful, reflecting their shared experiences and the journey that had brought them to this point. Most importantly, he wanted to honor his mother's memory in the proposal, as Diana's blessing had always been important to him in his relationship with Kate. The opportunity came in October 2010, during a long-planned vacation to Kenya with friends. Kenya held special significance for William, as his grandparents had been living there when his grandfather unexpectedly became king, launching the current royal era. The connection to family history, combined with the natural beauty and privacy that Kenya offered, made it the perfect setting for such an important moment. William had secretly arranged to have his mother's sapphire engagement ring reset for Kate. The stunning blue salon sapphire surrounded by diamonds had been Diana's most recognizable piece of jewelry, and William felt that offering it to Kate would symbolically include his mother in their engagement and future marriage. He had carried the ring with him for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. The proposal took place during a romantic getaway at a remote lodge near Lake Rutundu, high in the mountains of central Kenya. William had planned every detail carefully, ensuring they would have complete privacy and an absolutely beautiful setting. After a morning spent fishing and hiking together, they sat on a blanket watching the sunset over the pristine mountain lake. As the sky turned brilliant shades of orange and pink, William began talking about their years together, the challenges they had overcome, and the future he wanted to build with Kate. When he pulled out the distinctive blue ring, Kate was completely surprised despite years of media speculation about when this moment might come. The proposal was intimate, heartfelt, and deeply personal, with William expressing his love for Kate and his desire to spend his life making her happy. Kate's acceptance was immediate and joyful. She later described feeling overwhelmed with happiness and excitement, as well as a deep sense of rightness about the step they were taking. The ring fit perfectly, which seemed like a good omen for their future together. They spent the rest of the evening talking about their hopes and dreams for marriage and the unique life they would build together. The couple kept their engagement secret for several weeks after returning to Britain, savoring the private joy of their new commitment before sharing the news with the world. They told their families first, with both the royal family and the Middletons expressing delight and complete support for the match. The official announcement was made on November 16, 2010, generating worldwide excitement and congratulations. The engagement interview, conducted at St. James's Palace, revealed the depth of their affection for each other and their thoughtful approach to their future responsibilities. Kate's composure during her first official royal interview impressed observers, while William's obvious pride and tenderness toward his fiancée was evident in every glance and gesture. Their comfort with each other and shared sense of humor came through clearly, promising well for their ability to handle the pressures of married royal life. Planning their wedding became an exercise in balancing royal tradition with personal preferences, public expectations with private desires. Kate was determined that their wedding should reflect their own relationship and values while respecting the historical significance of the occasion. She wanted the ceremony to be beautiful and meaningful rather than simply grand, focusing on the spiritual and emotional aspects of their commitment. William supported Kate's vision for a wedding that would be elegant, but not ostentatious, traditional, but not stuffy. They both wanted to include personal touches that would make the day feel authentic to their relationship, from the music selections to the guest list. The challenge was accomplishing this while meeting the expectations for a royal wedding that would be watched by millions around the world. Kate approached wedding planning with the same careful attention to detail she brought to everything else. She was deeply involved in every decision, from the design of her dress to the flowers that would decorate Westminster Abbey. Her choices consistently reflected her sophisticated but understated aesthetic, favoring classic elegance over flashy displays of wealth. The selection of Westminster Abbey as the venue was particularly meaningful to both William and Kate. The historic church had been the setting for royal weddings for centuries, but it also held personal significance as the place where William's parents had married 30 years earlier. The choice honored royal tradition while allowing William to feel connected to his mother during this important milestone. Kate's wedding dress design process was conducted in absolute secrecy, with only a few trusted individuals knowing the details. She worked with Sarah Burton of Alexander McQueen to create a gown that would be both timelessly elegant and distinctly her own. The dress design process revealed Kate's clear vision for how she wanted to present herself as a royal bride. Sophisticated, graceful, and authentically herself rather than trying to conform to others' expectations. The months leading up to the wedding were filled with both excitement and increasing pressure. Kate handled the intense media attention and endless speculation about wedding details with remarkable grace, never allowing the stress to overshadow her joy about marrying William. She used the engagement period to prepare for a future role, studying royal history and protocol while maintaining her own interests and personality. William's support during the wedding planning period demonstrated his deep understanding of the pressures Kate was facing and his commitment to protecting her well-being. He made sure she had adequate privacy and support, while also helping her navigate the complex requirements of royal protocol. His ability to balance his royal responsibilities with his devotion to Kate's happiness showed the maturity their relationship had developed. The final weeks before the wedding saw an outpouring of public affection for the couple that surprised even seasoned royal observers. Kate had gradually won over initial skeptics with her grace, authenticity, and obvious devotion to William. The British public seemed genuinely excited about the prospect of welcoming her into the royal family, viewing her as someone who would modernize and refresh the monarchy while respecting its traditions. As their wedding day approached, William and Kate retreated into a bubble of calm preparation, focusing on the spiritual significance of their commitment rather than the pageantry that would surround it. They spent quiet time together reflecting on their journey from university friends to royal couple, acknowledging both the joy and the responsibility that their marriage would bring. The night before their wedding, they stayed in separate locations according to tradition, but both later described feeling a sense of peaceful anticipation rather than nervousness. They had been through so much together over nearly a decade that marriage felt like a natural and joyful next step rather than a dramatic change. Their love had been tested, strengthened, and proven durable enough to withstand whatever challenges lay ahead. The sweetness of their engagement period lay not in the grand gestures or expensive preparations, but in the quiet moments when they could simply enjoy being engaged to each other. Whether planning seating charts together or stealing private kisses during official photographs, they maintained the natural affection and partnership that had characterized their relationship from the beginning. Their approaching marriage represented not just a fairy tale romance, but the formalization of a partnership built on genuine love, mutual respect, and shared commitment to service. April 29th, 2011, dawned clear and bright in London, as if the weather itself was celebrating the most anticipated royal wedding in decades. As Kate Middleton prepared to become Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, the world held its breath in expectation of a ceremony that would unite not just two people who had found extraordinary love, but would also mark a new chapter in the British monarchy's evolution toward modernity and accessibility. Kate's morning preparations took place at the Goring Hotel, where she had spent her final night as a commoner surrounded by her family's love and support. The atmosphere was surprisingly calm and joyful rather than nervous, with Kate's mother Carol, sister Pippa, and closest friends helping her prepare for the day that would transform her life forever. Kate's composure during these final hours before walking down the aisle of Westminster Abbey impressed everyone present, revealing the inner strength she had developed over years of preparation for this moment. The wedding dress that had been created in absolute secrecy was finally revealed as Kate's team of helpers carefully arranged the stunning ivory silk satin gown with its intricate lace detailing. The dress, designed by Sarah Burton of Alexander McQueen, perfectly captured Kate's sophisticated elegance while honoring royal wedding traditions. The delicate lace applique, crafted by the Royal School of Needlework, featured roses, thistles, daffodils, and shamrocks representing the four nations of the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, at Clarence House, William was going through his own preparations with the support of his brother Harry, who served as his best man. Unlike many grooms who experience wedding day nerves, William seemed remarkably calm and focused, later describing feeling nothing but eager anticipation to see Kate and begin their married life together. His military bearing and years of public appearances had prepared him well for the ceremonial aspects of the day, but it was his genuine excitement about marrying Kate that carried him through. The journey from the Goring Hotel to Westminster Abbey in the glass state coach allowed the public their first glimpse of Kate as a royal bride. The crowds lining the streets erupted in cheers and applause as they caught sight of her radiant smile and the stunning dress that would be remembered for generations. Kate's obvious joy and natural grace in waving to well-wishers demonstrated that she had fully embraced her new role while remaining authentically herself. Westminster Abbey had been transformed into a garden of breathtaking beauty for the occasion. Kate had specifically requested English garden flowers, creating an atmosphere that was both grand and naturally elegant. The arrangements of white and green flowers, including lily of the valley, sweet William, and white roses, filled the ancient church with delicate fragrance and created a romantic setting that perfectly complemented the historic significance of the venue. As Kate walked down the aisle on her father Michael's arm, accompanied by the soaring notes of the hymn, "Guide Me, O Thou Great Redeemer," she embodied a perfect balance of reverence for the occasion and confidence in her choice. Her 3-meter train flowed behind her like a river of silk, while the Cartier halo tiara, borrowed from the Queen, caught the light filtering through the Abbey's stained glass windows. The image of Kate moving gracefully toward her future husband became one of the most iconic moments in modern royal history. William's reaction to seeing Kate in her wedding dress for the first time was captured by millions watching around the world and revealed the depth of his love in a single, unguarded moment. As she approached the altar, his face lit up with pure joy and admiration, and he was seen to mouth, "You look beautiful," to his bride. The tenderness in that exchange, visible despite the grandeur surrounding them, reminded everyone watching that at the heart of all the pageantry was a genuine love story. The ceremony itself was conducted with dignity and warmth by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams. William and Kate's vows were spoken clearly and confidently, their voices carrying across the Abbey with conviction and joy. The couple had chosen traditional marriage vows, but their delivery was deeply personal, with both looking directly into each other's eyes as they promised to love, honor, and cherish each other for life. One of the most touching moments came when William placed his mother's engagement ring on Kate's finger during the exchange of rings. The connection to Princess Diana was acknowledged subtly, but powerfully, honoring her memory while celebrating the new beginning that William and Kate represented. The choice to include Diana's ring in the ceremony was seen by many as William's way of ensuring his mother's presence during this most important day. The musical selections for the service reflected both royal tradition and personal preferences, creating a ceremony that felt both timelessly elegant and meaningfully contemporary. Kate had specifically requested certain hymns and pieces that held significance for their relationship, while also ensuring that the music honored the historical importance of the occasion. The combination of classical royal wedding music with personal touches created a ceremony that satisfied both protocol and emotion. After the formal ceremony concluded, the newly married Duke and Duchess of Cambridge processed back down the aisle as husband and wife, their faces glowing with happiness and relief at having successfully navigated such a momentous occasion. The joy on both their faces was unmistakable, and their obvious delight in each other was evident to everyone present and the estimated 2 billion people watching around the world. The carriage ride back to Buckingham Palace in the 1902 State Landau provided the couple with their first moments alone as husband and wife, albeit in full view of the cheering crowds lining the mall. Observers noted their relaxed conversation and shared laughter during the journey, suggesting that the formal ceremony had not diminished the easy companionship that had always characterized their relationship. The balcony appearance at Buckingham Palace, where William and Kate shared not one but 2 kisses in response to the crowd's enthusiastic demands, became an instantly iconic moment that symbolized both their love for each other and their connection to the British people. The spontaneous nature of the second kiss, prompted by the crowd's continued cheering, showed that despite all their royal training, William and Kate remained responsive to the genuine affection being shown to them by the public. The wedding reception, held at Buckingham Palace, was an intimate affair compared to the grandeur of the public ceremony. The couple had deliberately kept the guest list limited to family and close friends, creating an atmosphere where they could truly celebrate with the people who had supported their relationship throughout its development. The relaxed tone of the reception reflected William and Kate's desire to make their wedding day feel personal and meaningful rather than merely ceremonial. Prince Harry's best man speech became legendary for its perfect balance of brotherly teasing and genuine affection for the couple. His remarks about William's transformation since meeting Kate, delivered with humor and obvious love for both bride and groom, captured the way Kate had enriched William's life and brought out qualities in him that even his closest family hadn't seen before. The evening reception, hosted by Prince Charles at Clarence House, was even more intimate and relaxed. Kate had changed into a second dress for dancing, and the couple's first dance as husband and wife was reportedly to Ellie Goulding's Your Song, a choice that reflected their personal taste rather than royal convention. The decision to have a contemporary song for their first dance showed their intention to bring their own style and preferences to royal traditions. The honeymoon period, both literal and metaphorical, that followed their wedding demonstrated how successfully William and Kate had managed to balance public duty with private happiness. Their secret honeymoon in the Seychelles provided them with the privacy and relaxation they needed after months of wedding preparations and the intensity of such a public ceremony. The fact that they managed to keep even their honeymoon destination secret initially showed their continued commitment to maintaining boundaries between their public and private lives. Returning to married life, William and Kate settled into a routine that combined royal duties with the domestic happiness they had long sought together. Their home in Anglesey, Wales, where William continued his RAF search and rescue work, provided them with a period of relative normalcy that proved crucial for establishing their marriage on a solid foundation. Away from London's intense royal protocol, they could focus on building their partnership as husband and wife. Kate's transition into royal life as a married woman demonstrated remarkable grace and adaptability. She gradually took on more official engagements while developing her own charitable interests and public persona. Her natural warmth and genuine interest in people made her immediately effective in her royal role, while her fashion choices and public appearances generated positive media coverage that enhanced the monarchy's image. The early years of their marriage were marked by moments of pure joy that revealed how their long courtship had prepared them well for the realities of married royal life. Whether sharing private jokes during official ceremonies, supporting each other through challenging public engagements, or simply enjoying quiet time together at home, William and Kate demonstrated a partnership built on genuine love, mutual respect, and shared commitment to their roles. Their decision to start a family relatively quickly after their wedding reflected their desire to build a complete life together while they were still young enough to enjoy active parenting. The announcement of Kate's first pregnancy in December 2012 brought immense joy to both of them and excitement from a public that had already embraced Kate as a beloved member of the royal family. The birth of Prince George in July 2013 marked another milestone in their journey together and revealed new depths to their relationship as they became parents. William's visible emotion and protectiveness during Kate's labor and their first appearance as a family of three showed how parenthood had enriched their already strong bond. The way they handled the public interest in their new son while protecting his privacy demonstrated their continued commitment to maintaining healthy boundaries. Subsequent additions to their family with Princess Charlotte in 2015 and Prince Louis in 2018 only deepened the contentment and completeness that William and Kate had found in their married life. Each child brought new joy and challenges that they faced together as a team, with William proving to be a hands-on father and Kate demonstrating remarkable skill at balancing motherhood with her increasing royal responsibilities. Throughout the evolution of their marriage, from newlyweds to parents of three, William and Kate have maintained the essential qualities that made their original university romance so compelling. Their easy laughter, obvious affection for each other, and ability to support each other through challenges have remained constant even as their roles and responsibilities have expanded dramatically. The sweetest moments of their married life often occur during public engagements, when their private dynamic briefly becomes visible to observers. Whether Kate straightening William's tie before an important photo, William protectively guiding Kate through crowds, or their shared smiles during their children's public appearances, these glimpses of their genuine partnership continue to charm people around the world. Their marriage has proven that their university romance was indeed built to last, growing stronger through the challenges and responsibilities of royal life rather than being diminished by them. The love that began with shared study sessions and long walks around St. Andrews has evolved into a partnership that successfully combines personal happiness with public service, proving that some fairy tales do come true when they're built on a foundation of genuine love, mutual respect, and shared values.